Today, we're going to talk about how shaping your life with integrity can help you grow your business. Before we continue this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell to make sure you're getting all of the updated videos coming out weekly. Hey everyone, thank you so much for checking out another video this week here at our lovely sunny Florida abode. Today we're going to be talking about how shaping our life with integrity actually leads to growing your business. So let's start off with the basics. What is integrity? Integrity is essentially aligning your actions with your values. When you're living in integrity, you're generally living in a more fulfilled and meaningful life. Essentially, are you doing what you say you're valuing? And this is where it all ties into the business. Integrity is a foundation for building trust and credibility. When you think about growing your business, a lot of it comes down to the relationships you have with others, right? So I can speak from experience. When we started off our first business back in 2018, a lot of it was community based. So we were on many different networking organizations, a lot of networking groups, community events, right? We participated in so many things. But with that, it allowed for the option to have a lot more relationships, right? But just because you're out doing things doesn't inherently mean that you are living in integrity. What you do and say has a huge impact on building relationships in business. A lot of people make connections in business not based on the product you're selling or all the functionalities of it. While yes, that is a part of it, a lot of the times it actually comes down to the person, that who's selling it, that relationship. Do they fundamentally like you as a human? And I know this is going to go against a lot of norms, especially when it comes to schooling. Like I have my undergraduate degree in finance and business administration. I also have my master's in business administration. We were not taught this. This is something that we were not exposed to, about how the fact our integrity and doing what we say we're going to do and building trust and living a life of purposeness. Like this was not something that we were taught in school. So I know if this is your first time ever hearing of this, there might be a little disconnect. You might be like, that's not what's needed. I need to have a good website. I need to have a good showing on social media. I need to be able to have these snazzy business cards. And that is a part of it, especially as you're growing and expanding your business. But when it comes to just starting out, and not even in that capacity, more of just like having a solid foundation of clients, more importantly, referrals, because in my opinion, referrals are free money. They're leads, and they are some of the best clients to work with because you're already deemed reputable and credible. But it goes back all to living in integrity. And when we are doing that, we're building this foundation of trust. So when people, at the end of the day, they want to send a referral, they're going to send a referral on who they know, like, and trust, which is the saying in the networking world. Okay, so how do you even know if you're in integrity or not? First things first is reflect on your values. And if you are unsure of what that means or what that looks like or what your values are, be sure to check out the video on values I just posted 2 weeks ago. So that will catch you up. But essentially, you want to prioritize values that resonate with your deeply authentic self. And I know that's a lot of words there, but it really is important about prioritizing your values and making sure you feel connected with your authentic self. Because when you feel connected with your authentic self, you're more likely to do what you say you're going to do because there's no negotiating. It's just who you are. And that is living in integrity. And with integrity, it's making sure that you're embracing accountability and transparency. This is taking responsibility for your actions. practicing open communication, apologizing when necessary, and maybe even admitting mistakes. When we have accountability and transparency, especially in the capacity of business with others and in that business relationship, we're really showing the other person that, hey, we're human. And yes, we make mistakes because we're human. And that I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure this is right. Or I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that you're aware of what happened, where we're coming from on our side, and how to fix this, how to improve the situation. This is something that I personally really prioritize in my business and my lives is open communication. I think it's so important that people understand who you are just on a human level, because it's so easy to connect with humans just on a human level. Like when you like someone, you just dig them. You get this vibe and you're like, oh yeah, they're cool. It's so much easier to do business with that person. So I do it from a stand of, yes, like I want to be transparent to you guys, but also I want the same thing back, because just like you, that prospect might be interviewing me as their vendor or their coach or, whatever they are in that business capacity. I'm also interviewing them on them being my client. You don't have to take on every single client that comes to you. And by practicing open communication, I'm able to better understand who they are and if our values align. And this segues us into our next topic, which is resisting external influences. And this is resisting the temptation to compromise your values in exchange for approval or appreciation or validation. When we're compromising our values just to receive acceptance, we're compromising our integrity. And I guarantee you that your clients actually rather see you stand up for your values than bow down to their desires. And I will give you a perfect example of this. This happened literally last week. I got a lead. A lead came in, and they this is for our wedding business. Lead came in and said, "Hey, I'm a referral from so and so," which I'm like, hell yeah, love referrals. And we're looking at your packages. And I went over everything with them. They loved it. They were wanting to buy our biggest package, which for us, we're like, awesome. That's so cool. So when it came down to the booking time, they said, oh my gosh, we would love to work with you, but we want to make some adjustments with the deposit. We want to pay you half down deposit, which is our normal amount, plus then 25 the day of the wedding, and then 25 once the deliverables are received. So they're photos and videos, right? In the wedding industry, that's not normal. It's actually the deposit, and then everything is paid by the date of the wedding. And this is something that we actually instill in our business. These are our expectations when it comes to our payments. We allow the opportunity for payment plans so they can pay in advance, but everything has to be due by the day of the wedding. So I remember reaching out to Ian and my husband and saying, hey, this was what they proposed to us. What are your thoughts? And he's like, no, maybe, I don't know, maybe we should, because then we'll get the business. But I said, let me rephrase a question. I'm going to say no, because it's out of our integrity. It's not in our values to go against this. This is what we do. This is our priorities. How do you want me to word the email? And it was funny, because in that moment, he just said whatever. He was not really into it, replying back to that. So I took lead on that email back. But instead of coming off of like, no, we don't do that, sorry, bye, I really got into, okay, why would she be offering that proposal to me? Presumably it comes down to she wants some guarantees that she's going to actually receive the final product And she wants to make sure that there's still money over our head before, she gives us, to make sure that we deliver, right? That's my assumption. That's what I assumed. Just because that's what generally people try to do. They try to manipulate money to vendors in order to, I don't know, make sure they have some feeling of control, not necessarily saying they actually have any. But I essentially replied back and I said, hey, while that's something that we don't do, this is what our payment plan is, but feel free to check out all of our over 30 5-star reviews, and many of them talking about how we delivered not only on time, but early. And I kid you not, I sent this email and I was worried. I'm like, I don't know if we'll get this. She can either look at this and view it as appreciation of like, what, screw it, I am with the right team. This is who I want to go with. Or no, they're not willing to do what I want. I don't feel like I'll have a sense of control that way. And in this capacity, I'd have to give up a lot of control, right? Or perceived control, I should say. I kid you not. A few days go by, she comes back and said, we want to book with you. And I was like, holy crap, that's incredible. That's awesome. But at the end of the day, I love that, this is a beautiful example, especially since it's so recent, of sticking with your integrity and how it can actually help you get business. Because guaranteed, if I conform to her once, in that capacity, that one, the entire time, I wouldn't be living in integrity. Every time I communicated with her, every time when we were going to edit the photos and videos, I would have some slight against her just because, oh, she made me do this, right? But that's not true. I chose to do that. And a lot of this kind of generally comes down to people-pleasing tendencies, especially in business. A lot of the times we feel like we'll lose out on business if we don't if we don't do what our prospects want us to do or our clients want to do. That's generally not the case. Most of the time, our clients want to work with us. Most of the time, they want to help us out just like we want to help them out. But we have to give them options and solutions. And at the end of the day, know that we can step back. And they can also. We want to make sure that relationship is in with integrity that entire time. Because when you're not in integrity in business, that is when you start having thoughts like, oh, she's taking advantage of me, or oh, I'm too weak to be a business owner and people walk all over me, right? Those are just random examples. So this is why it's super important not to compromise your values, because that then in returns make sure that you're not living in integrity. Okay, guys, last talking point. We're talking about cultivating self-awareness and emotional intelligence and why this is so crucial to being a business owner and living in integrity. So having this mindfulness, giving yourself time to self-reflect is a huge opportunity for business owners. Not only do you start reevaluating and revisiting your values and your priorities and your purpose, you're making sure that you're actually communicating to your clients, not out of an egotistical way, but out of integrity. The only way to know if you're living in integrity or not is to be self-aware, to have your goals, to have your priorities, to have your values, and really know if you're taking action out of those or not. This is the only way to really know if you're living in integrity or not. When you guys are taking action out of what you think is integrity or not, actually check in with your body. Do you feel this tightness, this unease, maybe an upset stomach? Maybe you feel a little lightheaded or you start heating up. Those could be signs that you're not living with integrity. If you're feeling a sense of anger or frustration or embarrassment almost, those are signs that you could be not living in integrity. Now, there will be times when you're living in integrity and you will feel uncomfortable because most of the time it's you setting a boundary with a client or with your partner or a friend. And that's okay. The thing I always like to ask myself is, by having taken that action, do I feel better? Do I have a weight come off my shoulders? Most of the time the answer is yes. And that's how I know that I'm living within integrity. Now, if I take action and I feel icky and gross, maybe I'm not. But if I did that and I know that for my future self, that was the best decision to make, then that's me living in integrity. All right, guys, this is all that we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Make sure you guys comment down below. What are some times where you felt you were living out of integrity? And maybe some times that you weren't. What did that feel like in your body? What was the actual situation? And what did you do to resolve it? All right, guys, have a fabulous week. We'll see you next week.